Test. Test, test.
We would like to welcome everybody here to our special city council meeting this evening. We will start by having the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Yes, Councilmember Robinson. Here. Gettle.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Billings. Here. And Glover.
Here. Thank you, everyone. We have a special meeting tonight to choose a mayor candidate out of all the candidates that have applied. And at this time, it's an action item. We are going to turn it over to Matt Dahl, our city manager. Matt.
I'm going to speak mainly to you for right now. So this is the first time that we're aware of where there has been a resignation of a mayor and the need for a selection in the middle of that term. There was an instance a number of years ago, over a decade ago, where there was a replacement of a city council member. The process is largely the same. Part of the reason I bring this up is that there's probably only two people over here and one person over here that I see that was around when the last time that we had to do a selection like this. So we've tried to work out all the details, and I hope we've nailed it, but I appreciate any grace that you can give us as we're trying to work through this process. Now, that being said, my name is Matt Dahl. I'm a city manager. I'm going to cover a couple different things. One of them is a little bit of a discussion on the role of mayor. The other part of it is getting a little bit more into the details of how the selection process is going to go this evening. So first, I just want to say the title of mayor is an ancient title. I did some research to try to figure out when it was first used and couldn't really nail that down. But it appears that it's closely related to the term major in the military as a military rank. And also, it is something that we see used in Western Europe early in the formation of the countries, the nations that are there. The French referred to it as the mayor domo. The English originally called it Lord Mayor. In those cases, those mayors were selected by the sovereign, a noble or a group of nobles, but was not publicly selected as they are today, or elected by the people they represent. The first mayor of London was selected in 1109, which is not too long after the Norman invasion, and was about 750 years before the first mayor in Utah was selected. The first Salt Lake City mayor was selected 750 years after the first one in London. So that's just showing how long this title has been around. About 60 years after the first Salt Lake City mayor, the first Midvale mayor was elected. There have been 22 Midvale mayors covering about 115 years. In the United States, when an elected official takes office, they are required to swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state in which they live, of course, in this case, Utah. In addition to that, the roles and responsibilities of the mayor are outlined in state law and in the ordinances of the city in which they represent. In this particular case, Midvale, the mayor has a variety of roles. Two of the biggest roles are, one, representing the city council after they make a collective decision. The other one, of course, is to run the meetings. But beyond that, I don't know, for those of you who pay attention to our city council meetings on a regular basis, from time to time you may hear us make the joke about us being in a weak mayor form of government. What that really is a reference to is the fact that we are a 6-member council. In a six-member council, what that means is that a large portion of the executive and legislative authority is actually held by the city council. There are some authorities that are specifically outlined for the mayor in state law, but a lot of the powers are actually granted to the mayor by the city council in that ordinance. This is different than a strong mayor form of government that you would see in Salt Lake City or Ogden or Murray, where the executive authority is held in the mayor's position and the legislative authority is solely held in the city council's position. Now, we sort of make our jokes, we talk about it being a weak mayor form of government, so there's that. One other thing, it's not really my job tonight to tell the city council what I think the mayor should be or who they should be or what characteristics they should have. That's up for the council to decide. But what I can tell you is, even though we make this joke about the weak mayor, the thing I could tell you that the new city mayor what they're going to need is courage. And what I mean by that is, when you come up, mayoral candidates, when you come up here today, you're representing yourself to this group, to the city council, and you're saying you want this mantle of mayor, the leadership mantle of mayor. But you're representing yourself. If you are the person who is selected, by the end of this evening, you are representing 36,000 people. That takes courage. In addition to that, I'm sure that you are all aware that it's always been the case, but especially nowadays, if you make a small decision or a big decision, there is going to be some number of people that are absolutely going to hate whatever decision that is. If you're representing 36,000 people and just 10% of those people think that you made a bad decision, this isn't like in your normal life where there's maybe a handful of people who are upset. There's now 3,600 people that are upset with that decision that you made. This takes courage to want to be in this position. Now, here's what heartens me. 11 of you have submitted applications saying that you want to bear yourself before the city council and before the public to say that you want to be the leader of this organization. That takes courage. And I look at that as being a very positive step. That you did that you had that courage, makes me hopeful for this whole group that you are capable of being mayor. Now, it is very important for me to just convey too that I just want to be appreciative of everyone who put their name in. There are 2 people up here who I also want to, I'm appreciative of that. And myself and the Midvale City staff look forward to working with whoever the council sees fit to make the next mayor of Midvale. So, thank you. That's my little speech. So, the next thing I want to get into is rules. I'll try to make that even shorter than that little speech. I did tell someone that I was going to refer to the Norman invasion, so I got that. Got that out of the way. Rules tonight. The rules for the selection of a mayor are outlined both in state law and by rules that have been determined by the city council. What we're going to do this evening is there will first be a round of interviews. Those interviews will be conducted in the order in which the applications were submitted. I will call up each candidate as it becomes their turn. There will be 2 times for each interview. The first one is you will have 2 minutes as a candidate to give a speech. At the end of that 2 minutes, or when you're done speaking, we will then turn it over to the city council to ask questions for 5 minutes. Between the completion of the speech and the start of the questions, there will be a little bit of a delay as we switch clocks. I will wait for the person running the clock to give me sort of a head nod that we're ready to go, and then I will signal the city council that whoever's going to ask the first question can ask that question. Then the 5 minutes will start. When the 5 minutes are done, I'll call up the next person. We'll repeat that process. After the interviews are completed, the city council then has the job of then voting on who the next mayor is. State law really contemplates there being 2 votes. An initial vote, which during that initial vote, if there is a 3-vote majority, we could be done. at that point with the selection. If no one secures 3 votes, which would likely mean that we have ties that we're going to need to work out, there is a process that I'll get to at that point that is required by state law that we've put some rules together for that actually has to do with coin flipping. So that would be exciting. Once we use the tie-breaking methods to get to the final 2 candidates, then the city council will have their second and final opportunity to vote on who they would like to be the next mayor. Once that's completed, the city council will then need to vote on a resolution ratifying that selection, and then there will be a swearing-in ceremony. So that is the nature of how we will proceed. Are there any questions before we get going up here?
The only thing you might mention is that we're not going to ask questions, Dustin Gettle and myself.
Sure. At our last city council meeting, we passed a variety of motions that outline a lot of the rules that I just laid out. Amongst those is that there are council members who are also candidates for this position, and it was determined that they would not ask any questions during the question phase of this process. Anything else that I've missed or that I should cover? Would you like me to go back over the Normandy invasion? No? Okay.
Maybe
All right.
the only other thing they might need to know is that you can't vote for yourself. Is that correct?
True point. Sorry. The council members, state law specifically says that council members are not allowed to vote for themselves in this case. I don't have anything else to say on that. I thought I had something clever, but we'll just leave it at that. Anything else I'm forgetting?
Matt, how is the time frame going to be monitored? You know, if someone goes over by 5 seconds, is that problematic, or are you going to stop people at like 2 minutes and 10 seconds?
Yeah, no, I will, at 2 minutes, I will ask the person to stop, and then stop. And if I haven't really thought through what happens next after that, so I'll just have to get creative if you keep going. But yes, so we will make it a hard, fast stop. The other thing is that, I mean, even with the city council members asking the questions, there's clearly a little bit of like the length of time of those questions versus the answers could get a little weird as well. I think we'll provide a little bit more leniency as it pertains to finishing answering the questions from the council than necessarily the speech. All right, so with that, I am going to return to my seat. I will call the first candidate up, and remember, we are doing this in the order that the applications were submitted to the city, and then we'll get going.
Oh, I thought you were calling.
Oh, well, sorry. The first candidate is Dustin Gettle.
Good evening, council. It's a little strange being on this side of the dais tonight, but I am excited to talk about the mayoral vacancy and hopefully earn your support. 10 years ago, I made one of the best decisions in my life, moving to Utah. I chose Midvale because of our charming small town feel, and also because I saw that there was a lot of potential here to make the city better. Since I was first elected in 2017, I've been fully committed to our community. I haven't missed a single council meeting, workshop, or roll call vote in that time. And I think we can all agree that showing up for your community matters. If given the opportunity to serve as mayor, I'll continue to work hard to ensure that our residents, our city staff, and you council members are supported and empowered to succeed. Over the last 7 years, I've been lucky to work with each and every one of you on some very meaningful projects. We've improved government transparency in Midvale. We've boosted resident engagement. We've made big strides revitalizing Main Street. There's a lot still to be done there, but we've started to see the actual results of that. One of the things I'm most proud of is implementing paid parental and caregiver leave for our city employees, only the second city in Utah to do that. Also, on my time on the council, I've volunteered for Harvest Days. I've served on the Midvale Community Council, the Air Quality Control Board, the Jordan River Commission, the Association of Municipal Councils, and I'm currently finishing my second term as chair of the Animal Services Advisory Board. These experiences have deepened my understanding of what our community needs, and it's also helped me build strong relationships with other council members and mayors across the valley, and I think that's very critical to this role as mayor. And I know this vacancy comes at a very difficult time for us, but I'm ready to help our city heal, refocus, and keep moving forward. I appreciate all of the time that you guys have spent as city council members in making this very difficult decision, and I just am looking forward to working with you moving forward. Thank you so much.
Now we'll take a second to switch to a 5-minute clock. All right. First question?
Can you pause it for a second? We should maybe thought about this. I wonder if we should just start with Bonnie. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Are you guys okay with that? Because we'll see how time it goes that way. You know, I can be very long-winded generally. Just asking the question could take 5 minutes, so I will try not to do that.
Can I
But
get a second timer for Brian?
yeah,
It's 10 seconds.
my own. But so, all right, we should maybe. I'm sorry for it. Just came to me right now.
Nope, that's good.
Okay.
I had that just as we were about to start. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Bonnie and then we'll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for having the courage to do this. I know it takes a lot of courage to do this. But I just wanted to find out what your priorities and goals are for this position for the next year.
My main goal for the next year is to work with you guys to reestablish our community council. I think that's something we've talked about for a long time, and I think as mayor, that's something that could be a primary focus of someone in that role to help get that off the ground. Also, revitalizing Main Street, I think that's going to be one of the key things for us, not only in the next year, but the next 5 to 10 years. I think that's going to be the main economic driver here in Midvale.
Thank you. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you,
I
Heidi.
actually just want to know what your favorite event in Midvale is and what it means to you.
Well, that's an easy one. I think most people will know the Christmas tree lighting event is my favorite. I found a picture a few years ago at the Midvale Museum, and it was a picture from the 1950s, black and white photo of the Christmas tree on our former City Hall building. And I was like, well, we need to recreate that scenario exactly. And this year will be the third re-annual, if that's a word, tree lighting ceremony. So I have a lot of fun with that. I know the kids have a lot of fun with that, and just putting a pitch out there, we are having that on the 15th, I believe. So yes, absolutely the Christmas tree lighting ceremony.
My question, and I'm not going to hold anyone to this because your opinion could change, you know, the second you get nominated if it was any of you. As you know, this is a 1-year, I guess 12.5-month appointment, right? What are your plans for after that? Are you going to run for mayor? Are you undecided, or are you I'm just helping Midvale for this 12 months? Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. You know, I put a lot of thought into that as well because, you know, the way that this vacancy happened, you know, I think we need someone to step into that role and help start the healing process. So that's goal number one. In thinking about it longer, you know, I plan to run for election if I were selected to be mayor. You know, I think that's just a logical procession. It would be strange to, you know, serve a year and a month and then, you know, run for my old council seat or something like that. So my plan would be to run for election next year.
Okay.
Can you talk about your management style?
Yeah, so my background in, my personal life has always been in human resources. So I like to take a very, as far as the day-to-day at City Hall, I like to think that our employees are the greatest asset that we have here in Midvale. So I take a very pro-employee management style as far as that goes. The other parts of being a mayor here in Midvale, City Manager Dahl spoke to it a bit. I see that more as like being a spokesperson for city initiatives, a spokesperson for the city council. And in that arena, I would, collaborate with you guys and come up with a management process that way. But as far as like what goes on here at City Hall, because the mayor is, the primary elected official that the city staff sees on a day-to-day basis, and I would be very employee-focused in that role.
Thank you. As you know, we have been working as a city diligently to put ourselves in the best place possible to achieve a new rec center. How do you see yourself contributing to that and helping us make sure we're in the best possible position to do so?
I have a lot of good relationships with council members and mayors across the county. So I think that is an aspect of, me being appointed to this role that I'd be able to pretty seamlessly reach out to those key players and have those negotiations and those conversations. I absolutely agree we need a rec center here in Midvale. We're far past time. So I would make that a priority in that role to meet with the key players.
Yeah.
And to answer Brian's question.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
All right, next up is, is that what we should do, clap after each one? Didn't think about that. New rule, clapping after each one. All right, next up is Brandy Boer. Welcome, Brandy.
Hi. Hello, council members and neighbors. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Brandy Boer, and I am proud to call Midvale my home. One thing I love about our city is the variety of restaurants. Honestly, without them, I'd probably starve. I'm not exactly known for my cooking skills, so shout out to all of our restaurants. As someone who enjoys biking, I've learned the importance of balance and forward momentum, lessons I would apply to leading our city. As a licensed clinical social worker and small business owner, I built my career on helping people feel supported and connected, values I'll bring as your mayor. Midvale has amazing projects already underway, and I'm committed to maintaining that momentum. Over 59% of our residents want more biking and walking options, and I'll advocate for active transportation projects to improve safety and connectivity. We also have a solid foundation in affordable housing programs, but we can do more. Renters make up 55% of our households, and I'll push for transparency in rental fees, work to limit excessive increases, and this will help renters save for their first home. Stability in housing helps our families thrive. And when residents thrive, businesses thrive. So I'll work with the council to advance policies that strengthen our local economy while preserving Midvale's character. As someone who values community, I believe in making decisions that prioritize both physical and emotional safety for all of our residents. When people feel safe, whether on the streets or in their homes or in their neighborhoods, they're more likely to put down roots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, maybe. Well,
Okay, that threw me off a little bit, sorry.
So you're gonna start this one?
Patty,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, go for it.
Tell me about your favorite Midvale event and why.
I like the Christmas lighting ceremony too. I just think it really inspires everyone, brings everyone together, and builds community.
Thank you.
What are your plans for the following, as I asked Councilman Gettle? Are you planning on, the 12 months? Are you planning on running again? Are you undecided?
I was asked that question recently, but I would like to continue serving our community in whatever capacity that looks like. So,
Does that mean you'd run for election? Okay.
yeah.
You talked a little bit about your priorities and goals. Can you talk about what you think the biggest need is now and how you would work with that?
Yeah, I was really touched by what happened about a year ago when one of our residents was harassed racially. And so I think one of my priorities in being a licensed clinical social worker is really working to bring our community together and really thrive as a community, because when our community does well, everything in our city does well. Businesses, growth, all of that. So I think that would be my priority, is really bringing our community together.
Thank you. Me again. Again, so we are working towards getting a rec center in Midvale. How would you help us further those projects?
I would work with everyone from the administration, city council, really see what the community goals are with that, make sure we're listening to all of our residents and incorporating what they want. And so just really taking a collaborative approach and getting everyone's input.
Thank you.
You mentioned sort of your priorities. Is there any big change that you foresee that you would like to do the next year?
I really want more bike lanes, because as someone that bikes in my district, I don't always feel safe biking as much as I want. So I want more people to feel safe, whether it be walking in their wheelchairs or riding their bikes. And so really, really prioritizing more active transportation projects and make sure transportation runs smoothly. I submitted a proposal over the summer just because I live just off of State Street in 7200 South, and traffic is just constantly backed up because one car wants to go straight and everyone else wants to turn. And so really helping traffic flow a lot better, I think, around that area and also around tracks, because it's congested. So I really want to help with the traffic flow.
What about your management style?
I really like to empower the people I work with, because I think they're all in their roles for reasons, and they all bring really special qualities and input. And so I like to just let them do what they do best and be there to support them in whatever capacity I can.
As a city, we are working towards a plethora of different initiatives. I would like to know which one is the one that you feel is most valuable and that you would be most in tune with.
I like where we're going with affordable housing and really helping people, whether that be repairing houses or first-time home buyers. So all of the initiatives around affordable housing, I like where we're headed in that and want to continue supporting that.
Thanks, Brandy.
All right, that's time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. I feel weird clapping. I'm not clapping, not because you're not doing a great job, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. So everyone else should clap though.
Christian Luke Maines.
Hello, council and neighbors. My name is Luke Maines. I've lived in Midvale for just over 2 years now, but it doesn't take 2 years to realize that this is the best place in Utah to live. We have a diverse and vibrant community with a real sense of history and character. We have easy access to everything in the valley. We have this amazing main street with the beautiful murals and Tres Gatos coffee and the Bambino pizza and just all the new businesses that we'll soon have, hopefully. This is the place with the small town vibes and the big city amenities that everyone wants to live in. But even better than what Midvale is now is where we're headed. The city council has been doing a fantastic job of prioritizing walkable communities and revitalization of Main Street and new projects to expand our trail systems and to make the city more accessible for people through all kinds of active transport. As mayor, I would devote my time and energy to ensuring that this work continues by working with other cities and agencies, from UDOT to the Unified Police Department, and by collaborating with the city council and especially the citizens to identify new opportunities to make Midvale an even better place to live. This collaboration is the kind of work I already do in my job as a project manager for a small tech company. And I love doing it. I like working with people with all different ideas and priorities and getting people together to accomplish shared goals, which is really what government's all about. I just think that it'd be better served instead of helping a tech company by helping the city and my community. In addition to those skills, I'm willing and able to give this position the time and attention it deserves. I plan to constantly be available and take every opportunity I can to hear from the community so they know that they are heard and their concerns are addressed. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Brian? Yep. Thank you. So my first question, what's your plans, after?
I would plan definitely to run for re-election because as much as this council, I think, is going to make a wise judgment, I think really the power comes from the people, and it's important to show that I can earn that support, even if it comes a little after the fact.
Can you talk about your top 2 or 3 priorities or goals for the position?
The main priority is definitely just championing the decisions of the council. Like Matt explained, that is the role of the mayor. But as far as like what I value and prioritize, walkable communities are fantastic. Everyone benefits from that, especially the small businesses that get the increased traffic and things like that. And people who can walk and ride. Everyone, it just makes everything better. So that's what I'd like to do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Tell me about your favorite Midvale event and why.
I've got 2. So I really love the food truck days that we were doing beginning of the summer. It was unfortunate that those had to be stopped, but I am really excited for the new food truck plaza that we're working on. And if elected, or selected, I would love to make that an opportunity where I could meet with members of the community, assuming it doesn't conflict with other city needs. And then the second one is, of course, the Light Up Midvale thing. My wife is actually one of the small businesses doing a booth at that, and we just love the opportunity to really participate in the community. I'm excited for the new lighting that we're doing this year, so I think that'll be really awesome.
Again, you mentioned your priorities and whatever. What changes do you, for 1 or 2 things you would like changed? Big, small? What? It's a slightly different question. I know it's simple.
Yeah, no, I understand. I don't know that the role, what we're looking for in a mayor here, and you guys are the judge of this, is someone coming in looking to make some big changes. I definitely would have my eyes open for opportunities for new things. But really, I want to empower y'all to make the changes that we need and then listen to the community for what other changes may be beneficial. I feel like we're already on the right track, and so I don't know that we need someone coming in with an agenda as much as a willingness to enact the agenda that has already been put forward by the council and just got a little derailed, unfortunately.
Let's see. What distinguishes you from the other candidates tonight?
I think that there are a lot of qualified candidates. I was reading through the packet and everyone's letters of intent, and I think you guys are spoiled for choice. I think one thing that sets me apart is my ability to collaborate and reach out with people. As you know, I've met with each of the members of the council. Even if I had to be pretty persistent, I feel like I have a ability to meet with people and talk to them on their level and really get to the core of what they need and figure out how that can mesh with what other people need and want. And so I think that's maybe not a unique skill, but a skill that I have and I'm ready to use.
Thank you.
As you know, we are working towards getting a rec center. As a mayor, how would you help us further that initiative along?
Yeah, I obviously don't have the connections that Dustin has as far as like working with the different departments, but luckily Dustin does have those connections, and I'm sure that all the members of the council will be able to point me in the right direction of who to work with, and I'm more than willing to reach out to people, cold call, and talk with people, but also listen to the community and what their needs are, and I'm excited. I think we should do a rec center, so I'm fully supportive and on board for that.
So as you mentioned, in my first question, the three of us have to pick, or more, right? But you have to get at least 3 votes to become the mayor for the next year tonight. Normally it takes thousands and thousands of votes in Midvale. What's like one thing you would like to say to the residents to carry that over, to know, hey, I know you guys didn't all pick me, but I'm a good choice for that.
Yeah, that is a hard case to make because they don't know me from anyone else, but I promise that I will give my all for this community. I will be 110% in, and then, like I said, I'll strive to earn those votes so to reaffirm that was the right decision that y'all made. So,
Great. Thank you, Luke.
thank you.
All right, next up is Paul Glover.
Council, it's good to be here. I was telling Dustin that you guys know me probably better than I know myself, so I want to start with answering the question for Councilmember Brown. It's blue, but not the blue South. It's Utah State blue.
All right, that's fair.
The reason I mention that is because I do have a degree of landscape architecture and environmental planning from Utah State. I met my family, my wife there. We started our family up at Utah State. I have 5 children and 14 grandchildren and a great-grandchild on the way. The next thing, why do I want to be mayor? I've said over and over again, I don't want to be mayor. But I've asked several times, should I be mayor? And it always came down to, I don't have the time to be mayor. I've got too many other things I'm doing. The reason this time I've decided is because I have 3 sons that work in my businesses and that they're able to run it now without me. So they'd like to kick me out, actually. But anyhow, that's the reason I put my name in. But mostly I put my name in is because I've had lots of citizens reach out to me and ask me to do so. So I do believe, after being on the city council for 21 years, I do have the qualifications. I have, as you well know, I've taken on hard tasks just lately. I'll do what is asked of me, and I do those things. I just ask you to consider my qualifications and my love for Midvale.
So while this is switching over, just for some people in the room, when we get a new employee, we interview them. And it's always serious. Everyone asks a bunch of serious questions, and I wait till the very end, and then I ask them if they prefer the better school, Utah versus BYU. And so that's why Councilmember Gettle and Councilmember Glover brought that up. So it's kind of this running joke for the last, 7 years. So you can answer that if you want, but that's why they both brought that up. I just wanted to be like, hey, why did they both say that? Great.
2 minutes is really hard to say even anything, so.
Can you talk about your priorities and goals for the position for the next year?
Priorities and goals. The priority would be our police force and our fire, our safety of our citizens. That's my number one priority. And also our homeless. They're the most vulnerable that we have in the city, and they're preyed on by more than everybody else. So with the police and all the other things we have available, we need to protect them and get rid of the drug dealers. My passion, however, is a rec center, swimming pool, and more park space, trails, to be able to make Midvale more livable. And you know my passion is the rec center. Everybody does.
We've been to all the events, so please tell me about your favorite and why.
My favorite for sure is Harvest Days, by far, because we have the opportunity to go out into the neighborhoods and talk to our citizens and find out what they really feel about Midvale and take the feedback and listen to what they want to say. And I love the fireworks.
What's your plans? Are you going to run? You can say undecided. You can say...
I really don't know. It depends on how much I like being the mayor. I might run for city council again. Who knows? I will do what I think is best for Midvale, actually.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you talk about challenges that you faced in past positions and how you've resolved them?
It's being on the council is sometimes frustrating. And so sometimes you don't get what you want. But I've learned long ago that if we have a council and when something is passed, I get on board with it. I don't hold grudges. I have a temperament that works with most everyone. And I've worked really hard to be able to develop that. And it's like Matt said, no matter what decision you make, somebody's not going to like you. But I've learned to live with that because I believe that everything we do, that I vote for the thing that is best for the city. And as mayor, I would do the same thing.
Thank you.
Not vote, of course.
You've had a lot of history in this role and the conflict resolution that comes along with it. You could probably give a TED Talk on the matter, but please explain to me how your preferred method of handling conflict is.
To listen, to try to understand both sides, and then consider what is the very best for Midvale City.
Like I mentioned, and as you're aware, you need 3 votes today to become the mayor for a year, where normally it takes thousands, votes and a lengthy campaign. What are you going to do if you were selected to show the residents, hey, I know, 99% of you didn't even have a choice in this, but this is what I'm going to do and earn the trust of the city, because a lot of people right now are sad, about this.
And I'm one of those citizens that are sad. I didn't see this coming, and I'm not enjoying having to have this meeting, to be perfectly frank. But to answer your question, for the rest of the citizens, Harvest Days, I try to get to every single neighborhood party that I can. I try to be, as I look in everything we do, I think of the whole city of Midvale, not just my district. Now, obviously, my district is very important, but it's the whole city that I vote for and try to understand.
Just really quickly, while we have got a little bit of time left, can you talk about your management style when it comes to city staff and the council?
You get more with honey than without. I prefer looking at what a person has done and encourage them in what they're doing and encourage them to do better. Sometimes that doesn't work and you have to be strict and you have to tell them what's up, but it works so much better to try to encourage every member of our staff and all of our employees to do the best job they can and encourage them to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. All right, next up is Carson Barlo.
I believe there are three principles upon which we can build a world of sustainable peace and continuous prosperity: empowering every individual, constructive disagreement etiquette, and innovating our institutions. I earned a bachelor's degree in digital entertainment and game design, where I learned that game design applies to more than just video games. In fact, I see a lot of game design principles show up in our political systems. For example, both game designers and legislators need to consider the implications of the rules they make and create systems with meaningful constraints. I graduated as valedictorian in both my associate's and bachelor's program and was president of the Game Design Club. I went on to spend over 7 years as a software developer, both in video games and in developing internet technologies. When the pandemic struck, I decided to join the working class and become an essential worker. I first worked for Harmon's Grocery and am now at Winco Foods. I wanted to learn as much as I could about food production and distribution, and so I made it a point to work in as many different departments as I could. My time there has given me the solidarity with those who day in and day out make it possible for us to put food on the table. As mayor, I would make it my priority to look out for the well-being of those who live in Midvale, as well as those who do business here. I would first seek to learn what I need to know to take care of my mayoral responsibilities, but also understanding that I wasn't elected into this position, I would make it a point to check in with Midvale residents and get their perspectives on initiatives that I would take. Appointing me as mayor would be a win-win-win. A win for Midvale residents and businesses, as they would have a mayor who has their back. A win for Salt Lake County, as a stronger Midvale makes for a stronger Salt Lake County. And a win for me, as it would provide me with invaluable opportunities and an opportunity to build a record that demonstrates my need to, or my desire to help others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Hi, thank you.
Hey.
Please tell me about your favorite Midvale event and why.
Favorite Midvale event and why? Yeah, I mean, I like I've been here for about a year. I haven't really attended the events, so I really couldn't tell you.
Thank you.
What is your plan for next time?
Yeah, sure. Well, again, a lot of these are going to be pending on what I learn as I get into office. But some of the things that I would like to look at would be our homeless situation. I was rather heartened last week by city council meeting as you were discussing different provisions to help businesses be more adaptive to potential sheltering people here. Also, I took a moment to visit some of our residents and knocked on some doors and get some of their feedback as well. And we're we're definitely seeing a problem with the fact that more people are renting in Midvale than are owning their homes. A lot of people feel like there's this Midvale pride that isn't as readily expressed from those who are renting their houses rather than those that are homeowners. And I'd like to take a look to see what we can do with helping to address that issue as well. Again, I've also heard from our residents as well about biking and running paths as well, and the sorts.
Awesome. If you were selected tonight and became the mayor, would your plans for next year include running for re-election?
I would, yes. When I first moved in here, about a couple weeks into it, I was walking my dog and looking around and thinking to myself, man, Midvale's such a chill place. I like it here. I could probably be mayor. Like, I really was able to see myself resonating with those here. I was actually considering plans for running this next election when I heard that this mayor had resigned.
Thank you.
As you're aware, this position does come with a lot of conflict at times.
Mm-hmm.
How would you say your preferred method of dealing with conflict is?
Sure. Well, again, constructive disagreement etiquette, I think, is key to this. One must understand, both perspectives in order to establish common ground to build upon. That's just going to keep it short and sweet with that.
As mentioned, you're being selected by a few.
Mm-hmm.
Normally it takes thousands and thousands.
Right.
What would you like to tell the residents of Midvale on why, they should trust you and sort of rebuild trust through this situation that is not, kind of ideal at the moment?
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned before, I took the time to go out and visit our residents, and I plan on doing so throughout my term as mayor. I think it's important that we hear from the goose's mouth, like, what the deal is and what the problem is. Because even if we're sending out surveys and flyers, the respond rate might not be able to...
So the question isn't how. I don't mean to cut you off.
Sorry.
So I have a minute.
No, it's okay.
It's what would you want to say to them?
What would I say to them?
Yeah, not how would you get
Oh,
them
right.
to-
I would say that I am interested in hearing your perspectives and would encourage you to contact me if there's anything that you would need from me as mayor.
What do you see as the biggest need now, and what would you do to address it?
Right. I'm going to say the biggest need is probably incoming food prices. I can foresee them increasing. Again, I worked for the grocery industry. I mean, all of our produce comes from Mexico and below. All of our seafood comes from Canada and around. We need to come up with some kind of a plan to be able to help people to keep putting food on their table.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Carson. Next up is David Fair.
I should have got a bottle of water before I stood up. I'd like to thank the City Council for their time both tonight and for their service for serving on the City Council over the many years that you've been here. I consider myself the no-nonsense candidate in this process. I am here to give you a choice in your selection if you need one. It should be a simple process tonight. You have two very qualified candidates that are presently serving on the City Council, and either of them would be a great pick. But if you want to try something else, I'm happy to serve. I believe that whoever serves in this position is going to need to understand that they will be serving for a very short period. It will be difficult to set an agenda and get it completed in the amount of time that they will have. I feel that the need will be to have someone that will work with this council to complete the items that have been set forth by the previous mayor and find the path to be able to do the city's business in a way that doesn't feel like you are starting from ground zero. There are many projects that will require the full attention of the city's leadership to keep them on the straight and narrow path. A few of those items are the Main Street redevelopment, solutions to the area's homelessness and the impacts it brings to Midvale, crime and policing, and the ongoing questions relating to Midvale's relationship to the UPD, and the growth of the city, or lack of growth, and what that means to the community. Whoever is chosen tonight will need to know that it is imperative to work with the City Council in a way that will be proactive to achieve the continued success of Midvale. I feel I can do that and be part of a team to move the city not just along, but forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, David. Is your plan, like you said, it's short, can't set an agenda. What is your goal? To run for election again, or just carry over, or what?
I have a unique perspective to that. I've run for mayor before, many years ago, and it taught me a couple of lessons. You have to have pretty tough skin to be doing this. You have to be prepared to serve those people that you're going to. I did it when there was no one running against Mayor Sagini at the time, and took that opportunity, and I got about a third of the vote of the city. I think that was a good policy for the mayor to know that there were always other opinions in that process. I don't know the answer to that. I would love to sit there and say yes to this. I'm afraid my wife might throw something at me at this particular point in time, but I'm not going to say no. I'm going to sit here and say that as we get to work together as a city council and mayor, if I get this position, that I'll review it at that point.
Can you talk about a challenge that you faced in a past position and how you resolved it?
I could go through a bunch of them. Military experience brings to a lot of different opportunities to be able to say for leadership. I take care of a 22-story building downtown. We flooded that building and we had to shut it down. There's nothing like taking 1,400 people and displacing them in a single night. It took a lot of stress to be able to bring those people together and understand what it is that you're trying to do is in their best interest. It's something that happens in the city every day. It is an opportunity you have to be able to develop relationships and move forward. After $10 million in remediation to that process, we realized that what we did was the right thing to do, and ultimately, by working together, we were able to make people happy that the process worked.
Thank you.
As a longtime resident of Midvale, would you please tell me what your favorite Midvale event is and why?
My favorite Midvale event doesn't happen anymore. My back of my house goes right out to the park. And I used to love the firefighters when they would come and heck a keg up in the middle of the park and sit there with two hoses and go back and forth. I know it was harvest days, and I love harvest days, but I remember that event with a lot of fondness. I also like the Veterans Memorial and what they do with that. I haven't participated in that, but I do appreciate the city in having that.
Thank you.
As I said multiple times now, it feels very repetitive for me. Again, you're getting maybe up to 5 votes tonight, opposed to the thousands. I mean, you already did apparently get all. I didn't know you ran. That, congrats on that, on making that choice. That probably was hard. What do you want to say to the Midvale, residents to earn their trust and support to sort of rebuild?
The 2 cents is I've got your back. I think we have a way to move forward here. I think there's a lot of things that we can do just to kind of build back in the city. I think there are good things that we can promote and go forward. I'm not looking to change. I think the city council's got this boat on an even keel and going forward. I think we promote and we continue to go through. I love the revitalization of downtown Midvale. That is a great project. I've watched it happen. I've watched it over many years, and I've seen quite a bit of development in that process. I think the city needs that. I also have you've been talking about about having a facility that would be gosh, my brain just went blank. But you're talking about making swimming facilities here and help me out.
Fitness center.
The center here. You know, I remember back to Midvale City having the middle school pool here and having the opportunity to be able to use some of those facilities. I think there's a lot of people in this city that would really be able to bind and connect with that and have a willingness to participate in trying to, I won't say solicit, but basically to go and present their arguments to bring that to this city. And I would like to have that opportunity to be able to go find those people in the community to do that.
All right, really quick. There's, 5 members of the council, and with very different opinions sometimes. How would you, as mayor, manage?
I would say that my management style, and I was asked this in a job interview one time, the truth is you try and make people happy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to come to some kind of conclusion. Whether it's a person or the council or whatever, you have to do what's right in the end. And the truth is you get to a point where you can all agree with it, or you make a point to be able to say this is what it has to be. Sometimes it's not always that easy.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Next up is Jake Mackie. There's going to be, I should have done this in advance, there's going to be a few names coming up that I know I am going to butcher, so I apologize in advance. And so if I do say it wrong when it's your term, if you would come up and just restate it correctly, I'd appreciate it. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. Yep, Jake Mackie, and no apologies needed. I appreciate council for letting me stand before you and kind of pitch my case as to why I would be a good mayor in Midvale. I learned recently of a philosopher with the Romans right before the empire fell, and his name was Cicero, and he has a famous thing called Cicero's fish pond. He recognized that as this city was as the Roman Empire was coming to collapse, it was because people were so focused on their own fish ponds and not the city, not building everything up as a community. And that really struck me and then I asked myself, what have I done to come out and to lift my community? What have I done to come and serve? My father and my brother are in the military, and they've given their time through many years, and I haven't had that opportunity. I haven't made that an option. And so I'd love to come with my talents and abilities and see what I can do to best improve the city of Midvale, to help the citizens do what they can. I come with a decade of sales experience, so I've worked with companies that are 500 to 600, thousands of employees. I've worked deals and negotiations that are worth $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000. I've worked with collecting people all throughout the gambit of organizations to align on initiatives and goals where the money should go. And so I have quite the bit of experience in talking not only to local mom and pop businesses with my experience, understanding their problems, but also big, large companies. And I think a lot of those skills are transferable in terms of making sure the community is on the same page, the council's on the same page, because tax money is sacred money, and the last thing we want to do is waste sacred money that's given by hardworking citizens when they have their trust in us to do the best that we can do.
Great, thank you.
Just waiting. Can you tell me your understanding of municipal government, how Midvale in particular fits into the bigger picture here in the county and in the state?
That's a great question. To be honest, I don't know all the specific details as it relates to that. I know that it would be a priority of mine to help increase the businesses that come here, the happiness of those businesses as they gain money and they strengthen the community. We're just another cog in that system. So I don't know all the detailed inner workings, but I'm a student in this game. I've never been in a public setting, and I learn quick.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Please tell me about your favorite Midvale City event and why.
So I've got two. One of them's kind of part of one, but we did. so I've been in Midvale for about 16 to 18 months, give or take. And this last year, I brought the kids out to the Midvale City Parade. And that was, our neighborhood is right on the edge where that came through. So I love that because you were able to see the joy on everyone's face. Everyone kind of came together. There was neighbors I'd never talked to, people across the street. We were making friends with one another, sharing candy that was thrown. It was a beautiful community moment where it just broke down barriers for people. Also, my front yard is perfect view for the fireworks. So, I mean, everyone comes over and we watch the fireworks.
Thank you.
What would be your plan for the next term?
I would love to run again. I think that is something that I love service. I think I approach this from a serving first. I've got very little ego in terms of trying to inflate my own head, I guess you could say. And if the citizens of Midvale would see that I do a good job in this year-long application process, for lack of a better term, then I'd love to go another term.
What would be your top 2 priorities for the next year?
So I was thinking about this a lot. I'd say priority number 1 would be to understand where organizations like the police force and the firefighters and everything, where they're at and what they need the most, and how we can best streamline and improve the public safety. I know I've got a little experience with some church service. I know there's a lot of people out there that are struggling. And so not only would I key right into what the city council has been working on, but I'd love to work with those figureheads and see how we can best improve that. I've also got a few other ideas too as to how to make Midvale a great place. Stuff like connecting high school kids with local businesses. I don't want to come in and just take a passive seat. There's a lot of folks the youth, the rising generation, they need a lot of help, especially kids nowadays who are feeling very alone and lost after school. I'd love to find ways to work with local businesses, set up internship programs. I know there's a lot more that goes into it, but that's just kind of where my mind's at, is bringing the community together and lifting one another.
Thank you.
Please tell me your style of conflict resolution.
So, being in sales, I've been yelled at a lot, and there's a lot of conflict when you're trying to bother someone about buying something they don't want or need. However, oftentimes I've noticed conflict comes from a place of emotion, and we usually fuel conflict with emotion. We say things we don't mean, or maybe we're doing things out of that heightened state. So as far as conflict resolution goes, what I like to do is let everyone kind of air it out. Let's get it out. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get to the details. Let's strip kind of maybe the heightened emotion out of it, and then let's come together and problem solve. Let's take a little humility and work together. But have empathy as well. I'm not an authoritarian figure that's just going to mock anyone. We all have ideas. All of our ideas have merit and value, and to work that out and to vet out everyone's ideas.
What would you like to say to the Midvale residents on for them to gain your trust right away? Since they didn't get a sort of a voice in this.
Yeah, I would say I'm one of them. There's nothing that differs me from every other citizen who's sat back and seen the city grow and move and flow with the world, and to put their trust in someone who's just like them, someone who wants to make the city a better place, a safer place, someone who can really bring community and family to the forefront and safety. I'm not anyone with a crazy background, but I am someone who's willing to, as Matt mentioned, courageously jump in and take the arrows for those who need to and do the best I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Cameron Nwarda. How close was I on that one?
Close enough. My reason for applying to be mayor is simple. I love Midvale and I want to help make it the best city to live in Utah by improving transportation options, increasing available housing, and investing in community spaces. I was born and raised in Nevada. My wife and I have lived here in Midvale a little over a year. So I kind of come with that outsider's perspective. But I've lived in Utah since 2015 when I moved here for school. I work currently as a public involvement coordinator for a civil engineering firm. So that means I regularly interact with the public and with state and city governments, organizations, and address their concerns. As a new husband and father, I can't stress how important it is to live in a place where my family feels welcome and safe, and I feel that Midvale provides that for us. And I want to ensure that it can continue to provide that for anyone who wants to live here. I'm grateful for the city's dedication to preserving and enhancing Midvale downtown. I think that should continue. More can be done, I think, also to improve transportation options in Midvale, as some of the other candidates have addressed, to make it an easier and safer place to walk, bike, or take transit. The down payment assistance program is an example of something that I think is something great that the city does. My wife and I rent. We'd love to be able to afford a house, but I think that Midvale can and should take the lead in the Salt Lake Valley in providing affordable housing options for families that want to move here and make a home here. I have not lived in Midvale for long, but I feel confident that this is a place where I would want to raise my family. And I believe the people of this city want someone youthful, energetic, and forward-thinking to lead. So I submit myself for consideration.
Thank you. Please tell me about your favorite Midvale event and why.
I love anything having to do with Arts and Culture District downtown. My wife and I attended the trick-or-treat thing here in Halloween. So we just recently became parents a few months ago, so we're still new to that world, but we were excited to take our kid out, even though she was sleeping the whole time, you know. And it's just any experience where you can get out and you can walk around with members of your community, and you can interact with businesses, and enjoy that beautiful fall air. I mean, it's the best. I am not one for dressing up, but I just love the opportunities to just go outside and meet members of the community in a way that is not normal, I guess, and Halloween can provide that. So I like that one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cameron. What are your plans, going forward? Running for re-election, undecided, just the 12-month, cup of coffee phrase, what would you see yourself?
I think to be most effective in addressing these goals, running for re-election is the best option. 12 months is not a super long time, and I think that's what I would want to do. Like I said, we're renters, frankly. If we want to stay here. We've made friends. We know our neighbors, but the cost of housing is an issue, and in order to stay in Midvale, that's something that have to be addressed. So, yeah.
Have you been active in any civic organizations recently? And if so, which ones?
Civic organizations, not recently. I will, just to refer back to my current job, we work closely with city governments like Salt Lake City, West Jordan, Holiday, as well as Utah Department of Transportation. And so I'm very familiar with not very familiar, I guess I shouldn't exaggerate. I'm familiar with city government structures, the organizations that make those up, the roles that they play, what they realistically can and cannot achieve. So, like I said, outsider's perspective, not a ton of experience, but something that I'm familiar with and would be able to jump right in and learn more.
Thank you.
As you've heard, we are working our way towards hopefully putting us in the best position to get a rec center in the near future. What do you see a mayor's role in helping the city make that happen?
I think the mayor's role is to help lead the city council to make the private and public connections necessary to accomplish something like that. You're going to need contractors, you're going to need public input, you're going to need the funding, obviously. So I think just being a mayor, you should be able to identify what those different challenges are and be able to lead the team together, as it were, to address those. So that might sound like a general answer, and that's because I've never built a rec center, but I think that that's what that would entail.
Thank you.
What would you like to tell the residents of Midvale, if you were to be selected, since again, they didn't have a say in this and just a handful of people do, to help rebuild the trust of this council and of the mayorship and going forward?
Yeah, I would tell them that Midvale is a really great place to live, and we've really enjoyed being here. I would tell them that Midvale has a ton of potential as well, and that Midvale has, like I said, an opportunity to attract young people and young families to come and make this place their home and to build it up for the future. It's a welcoming community. You can only be so welcoming as long as there are only limited places to live. And so I would encourage them to, I encourage residents to be familiar with these issues, to care about the people that want to live here, and to work together to find a way to welcome them permanently.
What is your management style?
Lead by example, lead with love. Lead by example, like, don't be a hypocrite. Do what I say I'm going to do. If I make a commitment, I'm going to do it, even if it's inconvenient or hard or something comes up. And I expect that from the people that I lead. And then lead with love, as in not like a romantic love, but lead with care, with empathy, and with your heart. Lead with listening, and be able to understand those that you're working with. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up is Gagos.
Hello, council members and residents. I'm here today to run for mayor. Some of my background is I was born in Lubbock, Texas. I grew up here in Utah from a young age of 5 years old, up in Layton, Utah. I graduated from Northridge High School in 2008 with a background in STEM fields. I also went to Full Sail University in Florida and got my degree in music production and audio engineering. Throughout my time, I've traveled through Montana, Arizona, Colorado, Texas, and have helped support my father and plus my own career. And throughout that journey, I've helped establish grocery stores in Colorado and Big Sky, Montana, and basically had a managerial role to where I was running the bakery department and overseeing staff below me. I come to be, as an average citizen, to basically be the voice of the people out here today and throughout the future of the remaining term as mayor. I really just want to be here for the people. There's been many political people that have lost sight of their goals for personal gains throughout their service to their community. And I really just want to be the voice of change and be an advocate for our society and Midvale in general throughout the remaining term and through the future going forward, to really just be the best person and best candidate for the position to be filled. And that's all for me today.
It's Brian.
Thank you, Cole. Just my first question, what are your plans long-term?
Long term, I do plan to run for re-election if it so comes to that, and the city and the people want me to run for re-election. I do want to be a voice of reason and basically just be an output for them to, get to the city council and express their, personal views and ideas moving forward.
Will you talk about your understanding of municipal government and how we fit into the grand scheme of things in the county and the state?
I don't have a very broad experience with that from my background, but I do come with willingness to learn and to be the best person for the position.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cole. So in our role of trying to get ourselves best aligned for a rec center, what would you say the mayor's position is in helping us achieve that?
You know, probably trying to garnish more funds and maybe getting grants or things of that nature to help fund the rec center going forward, and figuring out what the community wants and needs through the rec center and providing that for them, because really we ultimately serve the community.
I'm going to steal your question. What is your favorite? This is one of the best questions I didn't even think of. What is your favorite Midvale event?
Honestly, I really enjoy the harvest days. One of my favorite things, and I don't know if it qualifies, is the Wheeler Family Farm and their farmers market that they put on, and other farmers markets that are throughout the area. I really think that brings the community together and really just helps bolster small businesses and helps everything grow.
What would you see as your top 1 or 2 priorities for the next year?
Honestly, really supporting our police and our fire department would be my first and foremost, because they help protect our community. The second would probably be affordable housing, and kind of transitioning more towards, more homeowners than renters, because renters now take up the majority of, I guess, people in the area.
Thank you.
I'm going to return Councilmember Brown's favor on that last one. What would you tell the residents of Midvale if you were elected to help them understand and have comfort with you assuming the role of mayor?
Honestly, I'll talk to you guys. I just want to be your voice throughout this process. I really just want to take your input and really just be there for you and not, forward my ideas, but rather your ideas as a people and my constituents.
Thank you.
So let's say it doesn't happen tonight. You're not elected mayor tonight. What are your plans to still help support Midvale? Is there continuing on running for offices or volunteering, or what is your goals?
Honestly, I think the best thing I can do is come to the city council meetings and really just get to know the community more, and then volunteer more. I do live next door to Robert Hell, so I befriended him over the past year, and basically he's kind of gave me a little insight onto what he experienced as mayor when he was in the position, and really just kind of just being there for the community.
Can you discuss your management style?
My management style really is just listen and kind of give people what they need to do the best that they can. Really just be a voice of reason and kind of keep people directed in the right way. And ultimately, sometimes you do have to discipline, but really just kind of lead by example and just be there for all of your employees.
Thank you. Along those lines, can you tell me how you handle conflict resolution?
Really, it's listen, find common ground, and get to a solution. Ultimately, we all kind of want the same things out of life. Most people, we just need water, air, a place to live, family, community, and then just kind of just getting back to that harmony, and ultimately just providing a successful resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Rainer Lilac, or how you say it correctly when you get up here.
Of course, yeah, I'm gonna say it correctly. That's okay. My name is Rainer Lilbox, but that's okay. So just want to introduce myself here real quick, and then I'm going to tell you the reasons why I decided to apply for the position of the mayor. So like I said, my name is Rainer Lilbock, and I believe that I will be the next mayor. That's why I'm here, right? I mean, what other reason there would be, right? So, so I have lived in the United States majority of my life. 2008, I moved to Midvale. I lived on the east side of Midvale on 700 East. And then 2014, I moved to the west side of the Midvale. So I've really enjoyed my experience in Midvale. I feel that I fit in and I can relate to the people here really well. And I'm very grateful to be a resident of Midvale. So I became a citizen of the United States in 2011 while living here in Midvale. And that's been the greatest experience. I have voted every single year since that significant event. So as far as my background experience, sales, customer service, management, I believe that those are essential here. As a mayor, as a public servant, it is a customer service, working with the voters, with the constituents, with the citizens, with the residents, obviously. Sales, obviously, as well as describing the vision for the future. Management, obviously, is involved here too, as a mayor, as a public servant. So some of the reasons why I'm running is trust. And second reason is I ran for Canyon School District Board of Education this year. I did not use any outside help and gained 2,074 votes, which I'm very humbled and grateful for. And I believe that I have the trust already, which I plan not to violate. Also, safety, business growth, okay, and attracting more people and businesses to the Midvale. Thank you so much for your patience.
Matt, I think we should make this 4 minutes or something, because I do feel like that went a lot over, and no offense.
I apologize.
No, you're fine. I just feel like, in fairness to the other candidates, we should kind of keep the time the same. Are you guys?
I think 4:30 is probably,
okay.
We're about 30 over.
I just don't want it to get sensitive, of, hey, you let some people talk and others not.
Yep.
Absolutely, I agree.
Thank you. Can you talk about your top 1 or 2 priorities for the next year, please?
Well, obviously, the main one, the main reason why we're here is, yes, gaining the trust of the citizens back. I mean, that's the main thing here. What I plan to do, I already, as I run for Canyon School District Board of Education, I pretty much knocked all the west side of I-15 of Midvale out, so I know what's going on there. I plan to move on to the east side. Obviously, it's a hard work, but I believe that's the best way to gain the trust of the citizens. If the mayor comes to their door and apologizes to them and says, you're in good hands, the city of Midvale will go on, that the American dream can happen here in the city of Midvale, the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Thank you.
Please tell me about your favorite Midvale event and why.
That is a great question. So, well, I mean, there is 4th of July, America's birthday. Then there is a Pioneer Day, and there are fireworks. And then my favorite is Harvest Days. The fireworks, coming together as a community, connecting, enjoying good food, concerts, block parties. That's all what I'd like to see more in the city of Midvale.
What is your plans for next year?
That is a great question. So, well, obviously now in this current situation, then yes, we have to believe that when you cast your vote, that you represent your constituents. So, and take by faith and belief. And to, obviously my plan is to run after 1 year to see then, yes, what the voters actually think. What do they want? And I hope I did not disappoint.
Can you talk about your understanding of municipal government?
That's a great question. So municipal governments obviously are the lowest level of the state government and federal government. So the primary source of revenue of municipal governments are sales taxes. So municipal governments, they provide the essential services to the citizens, to the residents. I mean, who's going to pick up the trash? Who's going to, do the snow removal? Who's going to put the new asphalt on the roads? You know, who's going to keep the streets safe, protected? A lot of things, yes. What needs, yes, immediate response from the local government to provide the services to the citizenry, to the voters, to the residents of Midvale. So, and obviously then, yes, redevelopment as it's going on here in the city of Midvale, the Main Street, obviously. So, recreation center, as it was mentioned already. Taking care of the homelessness issue here in the city of Midvale, you know. We have one here, pretty close to here. Yeah. But yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to hurry and try to squeeze one in really quick. What would you say to the residents of Midvale if you were accepted into the mayor position to help them gain trust? Sorry. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
All right. Well, I would apologize to them, and we'll tell them that you're in good hands. The business of government goes on, and my time is up. Thank you.
Next up is Amelia Paulson.
Good evening, council members and fellow Midvaleans. My name is Amelia Paulson. I am a local business owner here in Midvale. I've lived here for going on 6 years now. I came here 6 years ago, started a business in our home, and have grown that to now reside on Midvale Main Street, which we absolutely love and are honored to be a part of. The redevelopment that's happened on Midvale Main Street is amazing. I come from a community event background. I've spent the last 20 or so years working in, organizing, owning different kinds of markets, craft events, and other type things that have really put me in connection with people and a community. I also come from a art and culture background. I also work in picture framing and am an art consultant, and so I have a lot of experience working through problems with people in that field as well. I am a mother to a preteen and 3 dogs. That is challenging on its own. I have a strong desire to connect with the Midvale residents. When we moved here, Mayor Stevenson had not been elected yet, but watching him from his election until now, I do admire the work he did. The circumstances around his resignation are sad, but I do believe he did great work, and I would like to be a part of continuing that work with the council's help. I would love to bring a farmer's market to Midvale. Working in those markets over the last years have really shown me how big of a part that can be in a community and bringing people together, and not only out to events, but also connecting. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Please tell me about your favorite Midvale event and why.
Oh, harvest days for sure. The parade runs right down our street, and so we get to park out on the front and watch that parade, and then walk down to the park. I know I've seen all the council members there, and I recall Mayor Stevenson there really interacting with the community, and I think that's one of the places I first actually spoke to him. He was in the Midvale Museum just talking, and I had never seen a mayor act like that before. So that was huge. I also love the tree lighting. The fire pits and the s'mores just have a real sense of bringing the community out.
Thank you.
What would your long-term plans be for the following year?
I think that a year would be hard to accomplish much of anything new. So I would spend that time learning, gaining the trust of the citizens, really connecting and finding out what it is that they want, and being a spokesperson in between the council and the residents. So yes, I would like to run. I'd spend that time gaining trust and then run again.
Okay.
I think I have a lot to learn, but I'm a fast learner, so.
What would your priorities be for the next year?
Again, I think a year is probably hard. I think there's so many things in motion. I would love to see that rec center happen. I think that would be a huge asset to our community. So whatever I could do to further that, I would do. And I would also love to see, like I said, a farmer's market, just a little local on Main Street, maybe that coincides with the Food Truck Fridays. I think would be a great event to really bring people out. I would also really love to bring some more local businesses to Main Street. I think that area is a huge asset for Midvale. As people come into our shop, I hear that they don't know this exists. But then on the other hand, how like this could become the new Sugar House. And really furthering that art and cultural district as well.
Will you please tell me about your style of conflict resolution?
I like to hear all of the opinions, all of the problems, really kind of get them out there, and then slowly work through listening and trying to really understand the opinions of everyone and putting those together and coming up with a resolution. Hands-on, definitely.
What would you like to say to the residents, knowing that only a handful of people selected, even though we, as mentioned, we were elected to do this.
Definitely.
But I still think, the mayoral role isn't, from the people.
Like I said, I want to connect with as many residents as possible. I'd like to go on walks with residents. I'd like to continue some of the things that Mayor Stevenson's had, coffee with the mayor, bingo and brews with the mayor. I think he did kayaking.
Skateboarding, are you going to?
Yeah, I'm not a skateboarder. How about dog walking? Dog walking with the mayor. I think all of those really put the mayor into a more personable role, and I want to build that trust up again and really connect. Definitely. I also believe that our youth need to be connected with. As a teenage mom, I think that generation is going to really struggle and need all the help and support that they can get to succeed. So I would really like to connect with the youth as well.
If tonight doesn't go in the way that you would see, what do you envision your involvement with Midvale going forward?
As a business owner on Main Street, I would love to see more businesses come. I'd like to support each and every business. Midvale has so many amazing businesses. I would like to volunteer more and then attend more city council meetings. Definitely. I would like to become a bigger part of the city. And I'd like to encourage other residents. There's so many things, as I read through a lot of prep for this, that I didn't know existed. And I'd like to help residents realize that there's a lot more resources than they are aware of.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
right. Excuse me. That wraps the interview portion of this evening. The next step in the process, as I mentioned before, is that we move into the council voting for their candidates that they would like to put forward. The way this is going to work is that we are going to provide each of the council members with a printed ballot. That ballot will have their name at the top and will have the list of the candidates below that. They will mark the candidate that they want, both with a circle and a check, just so we're double making sure we're getting that right. And then if the council will then fold that in half, the city recorder, Rory, will collect those, and the city attorney and the city recorder will count those together to make sure that we have an accurate count. As I mentioned before, if at the end of that first vote, there are 3 votes for one candidate or more, then the selection has been made. If no one achieves 3 votes, then we'll go into a next phase, which we will discuss what that would look like at that time. With that, that's what's going to happen next. Council members, do you have any questions? All right, let's hand it out.
Mayor Pro Tem, can I make a motion for a 5-minute recess to gather
Second.
our thoughts?
We need a roll call.
Sorry.
Okay, Councilmember Gettle,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Billings. Yes. Robinson.
Yes.
And Brown.
Yes.
Do you want me to call them for that?
All right, we will reconvene in 5 minutes. At that time, we will hand out ballots.
Reconvening? All right.
Reconvene.
We don't have to.
Do we need a
Do we vote on
motion
a
for that?
We don't. Do we vote on a reconvene, or we just? You just. Yeah. Okay. So clearly we don't do that too often. All right. As I said before, we're going to start with the process that I had outlined, and we'll hand out the ballots now.
Thank you.
I'll pass.
Thank you.
I just want to address all of the candidates, first of all, and tell you guys thank you. This is a really hard decision because we had a lot of people that are really invested in Midvale, and I feel like that's a really good place for us to be. I hope you all have this activism in a year when we are actually running campaigns and putting it to the voters where it belongs. So I just wanted to say thanks to everybody.
And I agree, and a lot of people said, oh, you have 7, we had 7, and we ended up with 11. Like, oh my goodness, there's 11. I said, I wish there was 50. Because it just shows, 11 shows 11 people that, think they can make a difference here. So I didn't look at it as a negative, I looked at it as a positive. I appreciate all of you. We can only pick one.
But you can run next year.
I guess, as you haven't done yet, if you want to put them up here and then.
I don't think it's ever been this quiet in this room, ever. That's a little disturbing.
The results are 2 votes for Paul Glover. Paul Glover will move to the final. We have 1 vote for Dustin Gettle, 1 vote for Luke Maines, and 1 vote for David B. Fair. So these 3, I get to do a coin toss. Yay.
Okay. I apologize. It was just, will you repeat that one more time? It's Luke.
Luke Maines, David B. Fair, and Dustin.
Okay. If those 3 can come up to the front by the podium, I'll explain the rules for the coin toss. All right. State law, as I mentioned before, indicates that if no one receives a majority and there are a tie amongst the remaining votes, as we have seen here, state law says that it is to be determined by a coin toss. As you will see, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And so what we have prepared in advance of that is it will be a round-robin tournament of coin tosses, which means that what we will do is we will have the coin toss proceed in the order that the applications were submitted. So the first person who submitted it will essentially be party A. The second one who submitted an application will be party B and C. A will flip against B, A will flip against C, and then B will flip against C. At the end of that, whoever has the most wins in those coin tosses will proceed. If there still remains a tie, then we'll repeat the process with 2 and so on until there is 1 candidate remaining. In addition to assigning the positions based off when the applications are done, what we will also do is we will assign heads and tails also based off of the order that you submitted the application. So for example, the first person to submit the application will be heads, the second person to submit the application will be tails, and so on as we go through this process. So that's how heads and tails will be assigned. One other little thing is that we're going to do a flip the coin and let it hit the ground. We had to work through all these things. I didn't think we'd have to get here. But if the coin hits the ground and is laying flush with the ground, that is a successful flip. If the coin hits the ground and rolls and ends up leaning on someone's foot or against a chair, that will require, and is not flush to the ground, that will require a retoss in order for us to determine if that is a successful heads or tails. What I have is a Walking Liberty silver dollar that I acquired from a local business. This will be the coin that the city recorder will be flipping. If you would like to examine the coin to make sure it has 2 different sides.
I'm assuming the heads is Liberty and the tails is the...
Yeah. The heads, yes, heads will be the Walking Liberty side, tails will be the Eagle side. All right. So, and then just so everyone understands too, Rory has generated these forms for each coin toss. She has already filled in that heads in the first example will be Dustin Gettle because he was the first one to submit. Tails will be Luke Maines? Luke, right? Not Christian, yeah. And then at the end of that, the city recorder will then fill in what the result of the toss was and the corresponding name with that to log who won that particular round. At the end of the A versus B, A versus C, B versus C, we will then tally up the wins and see what the next step is. This has never been done, so here we go.
And I practiced, but I can't tell you for sure that I did very good. So, Garrett, I'm going to have Garrett watch just so you guys are comfortable. What? Garrett, what is that? Heads. Heads. Okay.
So let's fill that in.
So who, maybe I missed it. Who was heads?
Dustin.
Okay.
Okay, so then we go with round 1, toss 2, heads is Dustin, tails is David.
Yep.
So if Dustin gets it heads here, then it's over?
Yes.
Right?
I mean, I can flip, but I won't do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so we've got Dustin and David. Okay. Okay. Stand back. Told ya, I did so much better in my office.
Think again.
Tails.
So now,
We flip, I'm heads. And if I win, we do it again.
He's explaining.
yeah,
Sorry.
exactly right. Yeah, no, you're right. So you two will flip. David has one win already.
And so Luke can.
And so, yeah, Luke and
I'm
David,
heads,
and yeah, he's heads. And then, if it is, yeah, so if it is heads, we do it all over again.
Can you drag this out any further?
And then if it's tails, then David's the other. Yeah.
I wish we could have.
Against the law.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Look better.
That is heads. So we go again.
Round two.
It's heads, right?
Yeah.
So we go again with?
Version of this.
So Dustin and Luke.
So everyone has one, right? Does everyone have one?
State legislature.
So again, Dustin is heads on tails.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Heads.
I'm letting you call it.
Sorry.
It's okay. He's just the attorney. Heads. Okay. And I'm blind, so. Okay, there we go. Now here we go.
Again, as repeated, if it is heads this time, then we are done. If it's tails, we continue.
No idea.
Oh my gosh.
You do realize the suspense is killing us.
You should try standing up here.
Okay, you sit down here and I'll stand up there.
So what are the numbers, 2, 2, and 1? Is that what it is?
No, we have to flip again.
So now it is, and if it's tails, then we're done because David will have 2 wins in this round. If it is heads, we repeat it again.
Okay, I just think we want to make sure that's clear every time because there's people watching.
Yeah.
It's hide on. There you go.
That is heads. But you tell them.
It is heads.
So it's really
Same people?
Same thing.
Matters where we stand.
So glad you guys are doing this.
You're the statistician over there. I know you had the better approach to it, but what are the odds that we have this happen one more time?
Say 100%.
Dustin and Luke, right?
Well, it doesn't really matter who's the first 20 songs. And it's the whole thing. It's like probably 25%. It's like it's not like the outcome of the meeting is actually fairly low.
Well, as we have now seen.
But one more time is it likely? Okay.
Okay,
It's
hi.
25%.
Heads.
Heads? Okay.
I know. It's frustrating.
It was heads again. So Dustin beat Luke. I'm texting Andrew right now.
All right, just to repeat. So now Dustin will toss against David. If it is heads and Dustin wins, that'll be 2 wins for him, and we'll be done with the tie process. If it is tails again, then David will have 1 win, and we'll continue to having Luke and David flip again.
So Dustin and David.
Dustin and David.
Yes, Dustin is heads. Heads.
All right.
Now what?
So, as you probably have gathered, if it wasn't clear, we went through the coin toss process. In the 3rd round, we were able to have the tie be broken, which means that the 2 remaining candidates in the process are Paul Glover and Dustin Gettle. The council will once again be given their ballots, much like the 1st round. They can only at this point select from the 2 remaining candidates. The council members cannot vote for themselves, and we'll go through that same process as we did with the 1st round. If once that is completed, whoever has the majority vote, 3 votes, will be the selected mayor.
The results are 3 votes for Dustin Gettle, 2 votes for Paul Glover.
All right, so what will happen now is Dustin will become he is the mayor-elect, select, and until he is sworn in, he is not the mayor. So we have one more action that needs to occur, and that's why the mayor pro tem, who is Paul Glover, who started the meeting, will run us through that next item, and then once once that vote is complete, then we will do the oath of office, or swearing in.
So we're going to move on to the action item?
That's right.
Okay. Action item number 4, setting a schedule of rules for, the resolution, okay. Okay, we need to have a resolution, C, number 2024-R-57, appointing Dustin Gettle to serve as mayor of the Midvale City for the remaining term of the office commencing December 10th, 2024, and concluding January 5th, 2026. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
So I think we need someone to insert.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to find the motion.
Can I just read this and then just insert his name? Is that? Yeah. Okay. I almost wonder if Dustin should do it. I'm just kidding. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution 2024-R-57, approving Dustin Gettle to serve as the mayor of Midvale for the Midvale City for the remaining term of office commencing December 10th, 2024 and concluding January 5th, 2026.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Billings.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Robinson. Aye. Brown.
Yes.
And Gettle.
Yes.
Okay, now we'll have the swearing-in ceremony.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Glover for his service over the past, it seems like 6 years now, but it's only been about a month. He's been here for the city staff during a very difficult time, and I think that we ought to give him a round of applause as well. Just as a mere formality now, I have to circulate my resignation letter for the city council seat. So that's why I kind of did it preemptively, and the city attorney told me to not do that yet. So I have to do that now, and then we'll do the swearing-in ceremony. But thank you, everyone who's here tonight. I'm still a little overwhelmed, as you can imagine, but I'm very much looking forward to serving the residents of Midvale over the next 13 months. Rory, do you need a copy? Okay, who doesn't need a copy? And I'll email it.
We'll now have the swearing-in ceremony.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Dustin Gettle,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah
and the Constitution of the State of Utah
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of Midvale City,
of Midvale City,
and that I will discharge
and that I would discharge
the duties of my office with fidelity. Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, once again. And, we'll definitely put out, sort of like our next steps, what's going to happen as far as, going into this role. As I said a minute ago, it's overwhelming right now, but as soon as I get home, I know I'm going to have about 3,000 ideas of what to do next. And I want to thank the other council members up here as well. The situation itself was bad enough, But the decision that we all had to go through, even Councilmember Glover and I had to vote on this as well. It was extremely difficult, and I can't imagine, at least Councilmember Glover and I, we were kind of statutorily obligated to vote for each other in that last round. So these three had a very difficult, and they knew going into this that they had a very difficult task, and thank you for just making the decision that you thought was best for Midvale. And I know we are going to work together as a council, and I'll just move over 2 seats and that's about it. And I look forward to working with everyone and being a asset to the community as well. So thank you so much. Now, very anticlimactically, we have an action item that we have to get through here, and that's going to be to set the schedule and the rules now for selecting a city council member, since passing the resignation letter officially opens District 5 City Council to a new applicant. And we're going to hear from our city manager, Matt Dahl, to explain that process to us.
Oops. I gotta figure this out. This happened that last time, and sometimes it doesn't happen, but where it advances me normally. On the agenda, we knew that there was a potential chance that a council member was going to be selected as mayor. So we had put on the agenda that if needed, we could have an action item to discuss the rules for replacing council member. Mayor Gettle in his council seat. The memo was very similar to the one that we did when we approved the rules to select the mayor, and so that's what we're going to be discussing at this point in time. So this will look very familiar to you because we just went over it a week ago, but it is going to be going through and looking at the rules for filling the vacancy. The rules are very similar to the rules for filling the mayoral vacancy, with a couple of minor exceptions. There is still a chance for a coin toss, so everyone knows. The difference, though, is that at this point in time, there are 4 city council members, and if there is a tie in the vote, a 2-2 in the first round, for example, the mayor, with their rights to break ties, would have the ability to cast the third vote in that selection if a tie scenario came up. That's one of the more significant sort of differences in what's going to happen in filling these vacancies. So we'll do the same thing. We will have hearings for the candidates. Each qualified candidate will have a hearing before the city council. Format to be determined. The council will address that in a moment. At least 3 council members will need to vote, and the mayor may break the tie. Tiebreakers will be settled by a coin toss. Procedures to be defined by you in a moment. What we need to cover tonight specifically, though, is we need to approve the schedule for the selection, approve the interview process for the candidates, approve the procedure for structuring the coin tosses, and approve the process for casting, recording, and reporting votes. This is a proposed schedule. This is open to discussion like everything else here. What we're proposing is we're going to make sure we change that on the motion, because today is December 11th. No, it's the 10th. I was right. It's a late night. I'm sorry. I apologize. Sorry. So what we're saying is that we would issue the notice of vacancy and make the applications available December 11th. What we're proposing, because of where New Year's Day falls and some other stuff, is that we would have December 30th at 5 o'clock be the deadline for submitting the applications to fill the vacancy. Much like this one, we would put the information in the council packets and make them available for a meeting on January 7th. Now, this is a place one area that we need to have a little bit of a discussion on. The regular city council meeting in January is scheduled for January 7th. So there's two things that we could do. We could have this, and one other part. We need to have, since we have 30 days to fill this vacancy, we can't wait for the 14th in order to fill it. So the two choices that you have are, one, attach the selection to a regular meeting. So it would just be part of the regular agenda. We would have other action items and things like that. And there would be no need then for a meeting on the 14th, and we would have a regular meeting on the 21st. Or you could say that you want that to be a special meeting on the 7th, and then we could have also a special meeting for regular items on the 14th, and then a follow-up meeting on the 21st. So there's some options here that are worth discussing, but that's what we need to address at this point in time.
Any questions for Matt?
Or direction.
Or direction for Matt?
Would be helpful.
Just off the top of my head, I don't know, but how many days is between tomorrow and the 7th of January? Is that 20?
Does anyone get a calendar so we can make sure we're saying the right dates there?
Well, no, just calendar days.
It's calendar days.
Okay.
27 calendar days.
And there's nothing that says we have to give exactly 30 days, but we just have to have it done within 30 days.
Before 30 days. Sorry. The 30th, we could do it on the 30th day, right? So we could set up a special meeting on a different day of the week if needed.
Just my thoughts is to maybe have a special meeting for it, being that I don't think we've had a lot of items on the agenda yet. So if we were to do it all in one night, I don't want this to be a rushed process. Right. Rather us take our time with the candidates. So my move would be for a special meeting just to have the time, I guess.
Okay.
I would support.
Given, and what I think that would mean, like I was saying, is that because we've had our last regular meeting of the year, if we have that on the 7th, the gap is going to be pretty big, so it definitely will mean that we'll need to also have a special meeting to take action on the 14th. And at that point, I guess we could evaluate if we then need to come back the following week to address items. Does anyone have any thoughts on, staff? Is that right? Okay. All right. So now we need to make the motions on this. We'll need to make some, so motion number one is I move that, I'm going to read it, and then if we need to make adjustments. I move that we set the date for December 30th, 2024 at 5 p.m. as the deadline for individuals to submit their names for consideration to fill the city council vacancy. Does anyone have any questions about that? Someone does have to repeat it to make the motion, though.
Mayor, I move that we set December 30th, 2024 at 5 p.m. as the deadline for individuals to submit their names for consideration to fill the city council vacancy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for that. Rory, will you call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Glover.
Aye.
I gotta get used to this. Councilmember Billings.
Yes.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Brown.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Great. Okay, I might need help because we needed to know what you guys were going to do. Do we have to say special meeting? Because it won't be a regular city council meeting, but we've approved this, at our last meeting, we said that the 7th would be a regular meeting. Do we have to call it a special meeting or just say we're going to do the interviews that day?
I think we're just doing the interviews that day. It'll be the meeting on the 14th.
Okay.
That will be a special meeting because it's not on our regular schedule.
Okay. I wasn't sure if special also meant special stuff in it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this is as is, should be fine.
No changes to this.
No
one.
changes.
Okay, we're ready for a motion? Okay, Mayor, I move that we hold candidate interviews and appoint the new city council member January 7th, 2024 at 6 p.m.
Second.
Motion and a second. Rory, will you call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Robinson.
Aye.
Billings.
Yes.
And Glover.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously as well. Matt, do you have a third motion for us to consider tonight?
You will have, I think, 7. So new topic. This is one where what we're proposing is that, much like tonight, the speaking order for the interviews will be based on the application submission. when it was submitted. We're proposing the same thing as what we had for the mayoral candidates, which is if there are 10 or fewer candidates, they would get 3 minutes, 11 or more, 2 minutes, and then the city council would have up to 5 minutes for questions. I don't know how you felt about tonight, but you are welcome to make any changes to that you would like.
I actually like that format, how the other,
That's fine.
thought it worked well.
Could I ask a question? In this role, just being mayor for what, 3 minutes now? Is that Paul and I weren't able to ask questions. That's a role we set. Would that be, would we be able to, well, Paul will be able to, but, would I be able to ask questions in that situation, or is that something you guys would want to?
I think you should be able to.
Yeah, you can, I think that is a clear thing, but if you felt necessary to make a motion on that, but I don't think you need
Just
to. I think it's
similarly,
clear.
this is my former council seat, so.
But you're not running for
Yeah.
it, so I think there's enough distinction there. Never mind, we know, you add value.
Does he, because you need 3, does he, maybe you said this and I'm kind of zoned out, does he vote on it?
Only if there's a tie.
So if it's like me and Heidi pick someone, okay.
Only if there's a tie. So let's say, for example.
That would be insanity.
Well, yeah, you could break a tie.
Only in the second round of votes, though.
Yeah, so if there's 10 and there's 2 and 2, and then we tied a second time, oh my gosh.
We're not having to get the coin back out.
Can we do the other coin toss version? Can we talk about
Yeah,
that?
we'll look at, we'll talk to someone with a math background to help us, to help maybe come up with something that is, make sure that we have equality of opportunity to win the coin tosses, but that also maybe is a more efficient method of doing it. We can see if there's something out there.
If there is a need for a coin toss, it will not result in a round robin because of there's only 4 votes available. So even if it ends up being 4 candidates get selected, 2 would be paired off, and then you'd have your 2 finalists for the second vote. There would be no round robin, so it would just be 1 coin toss would decide each of those.
So if there were 4 people who got 1 vote, you'd have a 4-way tie, so you would just break them off 2 and 2, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
And we would do it the same way with whoever submits it first would be a heads, whoever submitted second would be a tails, whoever submitted it first or third would be a heads, whoever submitted fourth would be a tails. Okay, so the first one is just confirming that you want the candidates to be interviewed in the order that they submitted their applications.
Mayor, I move that the city council candidates be interviewed in the order that they submit their applications.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rory, will you call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Glover.
Aye.
Billings?
Yes.
Robinson? Aye. Brown?
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Then the second part of this would be, and just for clarity, last time we added the 5 minutes in as a motion to this. I just broke that out as a separate thing, just in case there was going to be any issues after tonight. So this just does the 3 minutes for 10 candidates and 2 for 11.
Does anyone want to make that motion?
Mayor, I move that the city council candidates be given 3 minutes to speak during their interviews if there are 10 candidates or less, and 2 minutes to speak if there are 11 candidates or more.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and multiple seconds. Rory, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Robinson?
Aye.
Billings?
Yes.
Glover?
Aye.
And Brown?
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously as well. And motion number 5.
And this is the one that would make it so it's clear that you have up to 5 minutes per candidate for questions.
Mayor, I move that the city council be given up to 5 minutes per candidate to ask questions.
Second.
Motion and a second. Rory, will you call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Billings?
Yes.
Glover?
Aye.
Brown?
Yes.
And Robinson?
Aye.
And that one's unanimous as well. Motion number 6.
All right. So in this one, you have, much like tonight, the decision was made that we were going to do the ballot casting by secret ballot to have the votes recorded by the city recorder. This is just going to provide you with a similar opportunity to make that to set up the same process as tonight. So it would be moving to, that in the event the initial votes results in 3 or more, oops, sorry, I got ahead of myself. This is the tie one. I apologize. I've gone through these things too many times. Sorry. So we kind of covered this. There's still the potential that there could be a coin toss to narrow the field of candidates. The process aligns with state law. And so, sorry, this motion is about the tiebreaker. I apologize.
Who wants to tackle this motion?
I'll take it. Mayor, I move that in the event of an initial vote resulting in 3 or more candidates receiving votes, the city recorder will pair off each of the tied candidates with another tied candidate. The city recorder will assign each candidate a side of the coin prior to each coin toss. The city recorder will flip a coin, and the candidate whose assigned side is facing up will advance, while the other candidate is eliminated. Second?
Okay, motion and a second. Rory, will you call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Glover.
Aye.
Brown.
Yes.
Robinson. Aye. And Billings. Yes.
Sorry. So this brings us to the method of voting, counting, and recording the process. So sticking with the same process as before, votes will be public after the selection, but secret ballots will be used during the voting rounds. Council members will receive ballots with their name and space to write the candidate. City recorder, city attorney will collect, count, and announce the results. Ballots will be sealed and labeled by voting rounds so that if someone wants to look at how the actual ballots, they could do that. And the process ensures transparency and compliance. This is, again, one that I think there was a little bit of a difference when there were potentially other council members on there that might have necessitated that version. If anyone wants it to be voice vote or some other version, I mean, we're also open to that, or we could just do it the same way we did this evening.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Just in the event of a 2-2 tie where, the mayor would have to break the tie, is that going to be done by ballot as well, or will I have to speak a name into the microphone?
You guys can decide how you want that to occur.
Speak a name.
Thanks.
Just kidding.
No pressure.
All right, I would suggest maybe we first go through this process, and then if a motion needs to be made after that, an 8th motion, that would discuss how the mayor would cast their ballot in the case of a tie.
Mayor, I move that for each round of voting, council members receive a ballot with their name on it and a list of city council candidates. After each vote, the city recorder and the city attorney will collect and count the ballots. The city recorder will announce the vote count and place the ballots in an envelope for that round.
Second.
Motion and a second. Rory, will you call the roll on this one?
Yes, Councilmember Billings.
Yes.
Robinson.
Aye.
Brown.
Yes.
And Glover.
Aye.
Okay, that one passes unanimously as well.
Would anyone like to make a motion with regards to how the mayor breaks a tie, the method of voting?
I kind of made it as a joke, but at that point, Rory will stand right here and say, this person has 2 and this person has 2. Councilmember Gettle has to pick it. So, what? Or Mayor Gettle. I'm still probably saying Dustin. Has to pick it.
The point is, they'll know immediately.
Would you care just saying it over the mic then at that point? Or do you still want to
for the sake of, being faster, then let's just do that.
Yeah.
Let's also hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah. Any other situation I would understand it, but because of the way that went, as soon as she goes 2-2, well, I'll just look at him.
Right. Fair. You can make a motion, or we can just sort of agree that that's what's going to happen anyway.
Garrett, are we okay with just agreeing to that? I move that we agree to that.
Done. Okay, we just understand that that's what's going to happen. Okay, that is what I needed from you tonight. We will begin the process of replacing or filling the vacancy for Mayor Gettle's council district.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn. Second, and all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.